Alright, you birds, here it is, the Remedial ratcheting video. I think I finally have a sort of handle on it. I'm no expert, but we have ratcheting. Listen up. Da 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 da. And we'll go through this without the panning and without the reverb and without the delay in short order, but this, I just wanted to get an idea, so people could hear what, your finished result can sort of sound like. So the delay is M6 again, because this is the only one I figured out yet on this disc thing. There's a reverb coming from an outboard piece of digital gear. I'm using the compressors for the first few times here. It's not perfect yet, but it's there. And I'm going to leave a link. Not a link. I'm just going to write it into the video because I'm not that classic customer. I can't leave you a link. But you can copy it and read it and go to this place. And this guy has a video. It's probably almost an hour long. Half of it's music, and then he breaks it down real careful, real slow. That's how I learned how to do this. There's another guy, the kind of ascended master, Tones, the vicar. Killer, just absolutely amazing sounding stuff. And he does have a picture and an explanation, but that kind of thing is awful difficult for someone like me to follow. But I've got it now after watching this other video, and I can probably pare all this down. We'll take all this apart and just go, step by step, literally step by step, in how to do this. So basically, the ratcheting is done, and you need outboard gear for this. You need other modules. You can't just, and everybody says, oh, to ratchet the 960. You're not ratcheting the 960. You're ratcheting the gate on whatever your oscillator is, and this is just one oscillator. And we've got fancy panning as usual coming from this, and there's only one input here. This is blue wire, and it's just coming from this one oscillator. That's the blue wire. That's the output from this one oscillator. There's some other jazzy things going on. So my point is that you're not ratcheting the sequencer. You're ratcheting the gate on whatever oscillator you've got, and that's it right here. And I chose this oscillator because everything's in one place. Here's the oscillator, here's the filter, here's the VCA, which is the gate, and if we turn this all the way off, now I turn this up because I can get a little more volume. And also it kind of smooths things out a little bit because some of the ratcheting is not precise. It's not, later, if you had 555, if you had, Moog 55 modules, they would all be designed to interface with each other. And, you wouldn't have this clunky, kind of laggy rubbish that goes on with this. But we've got this down pretty good. So one of the things that you'll need is a clock multiplier. This is the 2 HP. It was less than $100, from your wallet to the door. And it will divide or multiply two separate circuits. It just requires a clock input. And we're taking the input, the clock, the tempo, out of this. If I slow this down, everything will slow down. I don't want to do that because it's confusing. But anyway, so the tempo of the clock, the rhythm, the steps, da-da-da, 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 goes in here. And you do need, this guy did it with white noise. And I didn't have much luck with that, but I can use he did it with a sample and hold. And I didn't have much luck with that. I'm convinced it can be done. It just didn't happen right away. So I'm kind of that kind of person. But this white noise is coming out of here. We'll go through this later. And that's what's feeding this. I forget what this is called. Steps or slides or some rubbish. Anyway, this is basically a sample and hold that gets its input from white noise and generates that and comes up with random voltages. And the random voltages, and this is key, this is the takeaway, this is what you need to know, is that when you come out of your sample and hold, which is doing nothing so far. It has to go into an attenuator. And you'll have to fish around and find one that works with whatever modules you got. If you like me, you got all this stuff, reverb, on sale, eBay, whatever. It's a kind of hodgepodge mix and match. So here's the input and here's the output, and you'll just have to experiment to find out which balance of these will, because this is how you trip. Okay, so here's the output of this attenuated circuit arrangement, and it's going to come in to the rate control on your clock multiplier. So whatever comes out of here is going to get added to the tempo that's coming in here. That's where ratcheting comes from. Now where ratcheting goes to is out here to the gate of your VCA. Now to complicate this further, your filter, and we'll go through this without the filter, your filter is also acting as a VCA, because if you shut this off, nothing happens. And where you have this slider set is also controlling the stop and go of all this sound. So there's that little piece of the puzzle too, which you can take advantage of, or it can trip you up. Either way, till you get the hang of this. So where was I? Okay, yeah, so that's it. And here's what the magic right here. See, now we've got way more ratchets, but they're in time. And you can hear that it's randomizing itself because of this sample and hold, which is getting its random input from white noise, which is a basic all frequencies of audible sound at the same decimal level, so that you end up with a random note here, and that's what's given it this. That's why the ratchets start wherever they start, rather than. Now you could science this all out and get it so that it only triggers on step 4 or step 8 or whatever, but this is a way to get it so it's kind of self-generating, and it's kind of, it's not like an MPC loop that just goes over and over and over and over. I know MPCs have a, what do you call that, a probability thing built in now, but a loop is a loop anyway, and this can kind of have a life of its own. So what happens next? Okay, and we'll skip the part about the filters for now. So it comes out of here, and it's just going into this, to one channel of this gizmo, which is being controlled. The panning is being controlled by this thing, which is kind of a clone of the mutable instruments. And it's set in a loop, and it's just designed to make it sweep from one side to the other. It's not perfect. I don't understand this thing, but you can make it go. It's pretty cool. So there it is. Now, this is the basic thing, and I'm gonna take it apart without the delay and without the reverb and we'll just start one by one and go through this in a little bit, all right? So there's that for now. That should keep us going. We have very occasional ratchets there. And you gotta overlook all this shameful mess here, because I got stuff going. Anyway, repair-wise, things have come apart at the seams here. Anyway, so you've got hardly any ratchets there because this is turned down. The random signal is being attenuated. That's what this is, really. It says mixer, but it's really an attenuator. And we're using the positive outputs. I don't know what happens if you use the negative outputs. We're going to turn this down, or anti-clockwise, and this should give us no ratchets. And I don't hear any. Now as we bring this up, there we go. And it starts on a different step. But it's all in time, it's in tune, and it's in tempo because we're taking the clock out from this. And I'm just going to try and slow this down and see what happens. Well, I'll flip this. Yeah, it's not good. Now what happens, and these are set, the dividers are set to not divide, they're not even multiplying. But so it's adding to the clocked tempo, which is, I started this video and it was on I think it's 113, something like that. So whatever comes out of this attenuator gets added to the tempo of 113, but only as long as it's active on the step. But if we bring this up, that's if you increase it. Now that's back to standard time. Now I've actually slowed the tempo of this down because the output is coming from this divider, and I've divided the time and I've divided the gate. And if you drive this, you can get, it'll just kind of speed up so that it doesn't sound very good. So there's some goofy stuff you can do, and you can probably get like an attenuator that's CVable, so there's a bunch of stuff you can do to it. Okay, I'll come back and we'll take all this apart and go through it little bit by little bit.